did go live just a few minutes ago, and I think it tried to reconnect, just shut it down. But anyway, I was sharing that I've talked to y'all before about being a death doula, what that looks like, and many of us encounter people who have transitioned into other realms and spaces, and last night was no different for me. I remember my first encounter was about 3 or 4 years old when my grandmother, no, when the plot of land that we lived on, those people who had been buried on that ground, and this is what came to me when I got older. Now that, because I still remember this dream, and this is what just come to me as I got older and started on my healing and awakening journey, that those individuals had died on that land, or they had been buried on that land, and the house was built on the land that these people were buried on. And so they came to me through the dream space, and I saw them wandering through the house that we lived in. I had to be about 3 or 4 years old. Then my grandmother came to me. The next dream was my grandmother coming to me when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. I think she transitioned in 1990. Right before I had turned 10 years old, she came to me, and these potholes, y'all. She came to me in my bedroom, and that was right after she had passed. And so I've had various occasions of meeting individuals who had transitioned in this realm, in this space and time, and them coming to me in the dream state. So last night, and like I said, it has continued on. I will be 45 in 45 days, actually. It has continued on throughout my life. And so I would say, wait, this truck. My best friend, she's been my best friend for almost 30 years. Her father transitioned back in, I think it was February or March, one of those. But he came to me last night, and in this dream, I was over at her house with her mother, and her 2 sons, and we were just talking, and then our other best friend was there as well. And we was just talking, and then I looked over to the left, and I saw him. And and sometimes when people come to me, they look younger than they were when they transitioned. He looked about 30 years younger, because he was like in his 70s when he passed. He was about 30 years younger, looked like he was in his either late 30s, early 40s. He was slim. He was always a really tall man, and he was slim. And he had on blue pants, a white shirt, and he had yellow, similar to what I have on now. He had blue, white, and yellow on. And mind you, I got this out to wear today, last night before I went to sleep. So, such a coincidence. These were the colors that he had on the dream. So, I asked as if I didn't see him before. You know, I kept talking to my friend and her mother. I asked as if I didn't see him, because I'm like, in the dream, I'm like, I know he's not alive. He has transitioned. So maybe it's a figment of my imagination. So I kept talking. Then I looked over there again. I saw him again. This time he had on black pants and a white shirt. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to act like it's not going on, and he's not here. Until, because his wife, which is her mom, my best friend's mother, his wife was sitting on the couch very depressed, and then she came into the kitchen where he was, and she started talking to him. Well, when she started talking to him, and that's when I said, okay, you see him? And she looked at me like, don't say nothing, because she's gonna know that he's in this house and I've been talking to him. So she just ignored me and just kept talking to him. So I was like, oh my God, like there's a real live, like ghost per se, not really ghost, but someone who's transitioned under energy, who's caught in between realms. Some people call them ghosts, or whatever, haints, I don't know, that's caught in between realms and realities, that doesn't know that he needs to transition on to his next phase of his energetic experience, right? So I'm like, okay, This is real wild. So I go and I sit down. I act as if, none of that went on. I turn around and I see someone else is in the house. It was a lady that I know. She had on the same exact thing he had on. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I was thinking he was her and my mind is playing tricks on me, right? So that was my thought process. So a few minutes later, we talking, we move on. He pops up again. This time, he's walking, and I'm talking to him, and we go into the dining room where he sits down to eat. So I start to question him. This is when the dream takes a turn, and it gets more into me being the transition or death doula, transitioning doula. So this get when I was like, okay, goddamn. I it like this before. So he sits down at the table. He starts to eat. I know he's not alive. I know he's in an energetic space, and this is where I am at this point. I wasn't lucid though. I was still in the dream state, but I started to question him. So I asked him, I said, what are you doing here? Why are you even here? He said, I got dropped off on Highway 41 and I came back over here. So I'm just like, okay. In my dream state, I said 4-1, that's 5. He's in a energy space of 5. I was trying to go through my head what the number 5 meant, but I stuck that in my head to remember 41, that's 5. He's in an energetic space of 5. He said, so when I got dropped off, and he was eating at the same time, like he was eating some baked chicken or something. He was at the table. At this point, his clothes look a little tattered. He don't look as sharp as he did when I first saw him in the living room. His clothes look a little tattered. And so he said, I got dropped off on Highway 41, and I came back here. I came back home where I'm supposed to be. I just walked. And when he started saying that he walked, I saw him in this dark space walking until he got back to the house. So when I saw him in this dark space, almost like it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like really dark outside, and he's just walking. There's no cars. I saw him like doing that until he got back to the house, and he was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I came back where I'm supposed to be. And I was like, how you know you supposed to be here? Like, who said you supposed to be here? Like, you transition. So at this point, I remember everything started to go real telepathic and me waking up. But the biggest part of this encounter was the fact that I started to question, to get some information so I can put him on a path to move where he's supposed to be in his experience in another realm, because he's still caught. And we talk about, I forgot what they call it, when energies are caught, people die and they transition and they're caught in between realms here and other spiritual worlds. And the word escapes my mind at this point, but that's where he is at this point. I had my ex that transitioned in 2015. He was also caught in that space because he wasn't at that time ready to transition. It caught him by surprise, and I had to help him transition on as well. So just to know that her father in this reality transitioned a couple of months ago, and he's still caught in between realms. It's quite normal. Sometimes it could take like a whole year. I worked with him for almost a couple of years, a year and a half actually, to get him transitioned completely over into light being, into another realm. I'm quite sure her with the devil, he had, we were having a conversation. He's not knowing that he is no longer in this reality. And he's still wanting to have these experiences here. And he's also, and I'm have to reach out to my friend, he's probably also connecting with his wife, and she doesn't even understand it right now. It may have her in a state of and even more turmoil and depression because he's gone. How he's tapping in and out, because when she comes probably back to her waking state, she becomes even more saddened due to the fact that he's not here. So yeah, I wanted to share that for those of you all who are death doulas who help people transition to the other side. I helped my mother transition to the other side. Or those who are death doulas who may not have had the opportunity yet to help people to transition to the other side, but you have people who have transitioned that reach out to you. They see your light. Once again, if you haven't seen the movie, um, what is that movie? Ooh, because it is a spinoff to the Jack Nicholson movie, The Shining. And I've told you all, I think I've shared this before. Have to look it up. Because that movie is, let's see, that movie is the one you'll want to watch. And so it's the sequel to The Shining. And it's, oh, wait a minute. Computer doing this. What, iPad? Mm-hmm. The sequel to The Shining. Dr. Sleep. If you haven't seen Dr. Sleep, y'all, this is what it looks like. Check out Dr. Sleep. It escaped my mind. Dr. Sleep is a really great movie, and it talks about how they can see your shine, how they can see your light. They see your light. They're attracted to your light. Your light actually brings them forth. And you get to make the call on how to navigate. I also had a similar encounter with my godbrother who died. I think he was about 32 or 33 when he passed a few years ago. I think he passed in 2019 before my mother passed. He came to me probably about 4 years ago, and then again I believe in 2023. And I've talked about him on this channel as well when he came to me, but he was sharing information, and he was in a playful world. He was in a world where he was still like a child, very childlike world. So there's different worlds they can go to that all have been created within their subconscious, within their own mind of the all, that is befitting for them, unless they have to, transition back into this reality. So her father is stuck. I'm sure he'll come back to me again, and it's definitely unannounced. And for those of us who work within this reality, there's nothing special we have to do. There's no special cleanse that you do to tap into this world. It's just what you are, who you are, and the energy that you are born with, and a part of your mission of what you are born with and what you have to do. And even right now that I'm in awakened state and I'm moving, I'm at work, I'm doing all the things, I'm still working in that other reality with him. So even though for me, I got up, got out the bed, dream is done, I'm still working in that realm. I'm still working in that reality to get him to transition. And so I don't want people to think just because you're up, it stops, like it's on pause. No. When you're up, it's still going on, because there are so many facets. This is just a physical being, but the energetic being is infinite. That's what I want to share. I'm getting all these calls for work. I'm going to go ahead and tap out. But I hope what I shared give you some light. If you have any other insight, because I was driving and sharing, if you have any other interpretations of what I shared with the colors, what he had on, what he was doing, Highway 41, eating the food, saying he was in the dark,